welcome. I am sorry to get a little bit of a late start. You love technology, but you like it when it agrees with you. I know we've all been there. So technology problem solved, and we are ready to start. So glad you all are here today and hope you're enjoying your conference. This is one of my favorite conferences to come to because of the variety of great sessions. And clearly, you have come here today to talk about the teen brain and what is going on with that teen brain. And I will tell you that it's something I love to talk about, read about, study about, because in my journey, my educational journey, I have found myself becoming quite the student of the teen brain. And that really leads me into telling you a little bit about myself. I'm Denise White, and I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am part of the International Center for Leadership and Education, which is Bill Daggett's company that developed the Rigor Relevance Framework. And I really first began becoming interested in the teen brain when I became a middle school teacher. I spent the first 10 years in the classroom in elementary school. And then in my district, they were going to open a middle school that demonstrated research-based practices in teaching. And we were going to demonstrate that for the district and for the region. I thought, well, that sounds interesting. So I went in to interview for the position and was interviewed by a panel. And one of the people on the panel said to me, "So what makes you think you can teach middle school?" And I said, "Well, good instruction is good instruction, and I know good instruction," and kind of gave her that. Well, then, I got in and started teaching it, and I realized what was behind that question, which I did. It's wow, something happens, and this is a different animal, isn't it? And so I began thinking, what is different? And really began searching for what's going on that makes these students who they are. And so began studying more about what's happening to their brains at this point. Same thing happened. I became an instructional coach in my district, and that opened the doors to working in high schools too. And so I was able to say, wow, some of the things are still going on in the high school. Some things have changed with students. I want to know more why. What's going on? Being an educational consultant for ICLE has really opened doors for me to be able to do more study about that and find out. So continued my study. But I have to be honest with you. A lot of the study came because I was in education and I wanted what was best for these students. But life has kind of changed because now I'm the mom of teenage twins. And are you? So see, we need to give high five, right? She's feeling this. It's like, it's like, this happens and you're like, wow, I have these new people that in my life. And are yours boy and girl? Mine are boy and boy, and they are 15 and a half. Yes, so they start driver's ed on Monday. Yeah. And so for those of you that have been through that with teenagers, or you work with teenagers, you can imagine what that's like. So our world has kind of changed a little bit, and I've had to really look at, all right, they're entering this new phase where they're going to be driving and be responsible for this big machine with a bunch of other people. I need to think about how their brains are working when I deal with them and when I am coaching them through this process. And, I've had to coach my husband. I'm like, you cannot grab the wheel from them. It's like, you cannot do that. That's not going to be effective for that. And so we're trying to kind of navigate this, aren't we? Figure out what does this look like? And so that really, I'll be honest, put a different spin on my look at the teenage brain because it became very personal and very much, wow, now I'm not just educating these, I'm like raising these teenagers, and I better figure out what this is about. So that really takes us into what we're going to be doing today. But first I want to know, take a look at this. Have you ever been here in your classroom? Mm-hmm. Anybody ever been there? Yes. Oh, I've so been there. It's like, and I'll be honest, it's it kind of changed for me a little bit, moving from elementary to middle school, because elementary kids are really pretty good about smiling and nodding all the time, you know? Middle school kids, not so much, do they? They're not the smilers and nodders. And so I was like thinking everything was going great and my lesson was awesome and I was so proud of it. Then I'd look back out and I'm like, ooh, not getting the reaction here that I thought I was gonna get. But I'm really gonna be honest with you. I didn't see as much of this as far as kids sleeping as I saw of this. Thumbs up if you've seen this. Anybody know what that's called? It's called ergo, eyes really glazed over. And I would see my students in ergo, and I'm gonna be real honest, at some points I'm like, you're not asleep, and I like that. You're not bothering anyone, I like that a lot. And so, but I did wonder, I'm like, so what's going on behind that ergo, behind those eyes really glazed over? What's happening in that brain? Well, guess what? Now we know, because scientists have actually done studies where they have hooked teenagers up to functional MRIs and sent them through a week of their life and tracked their MRI. So this you'll see is an MRI of a teenager. He wore it 24 hours a day for 7 days. So just kind of take a look. You can see that what I highlighted for you is his brain activity when he's in class. What do you see going on?
Not much.
Not much was happening. And I'm like, oh, that's what was going on in their brains when I saw that ergo. Nothing. And it kills me. Look what's happening during sleep. Why is that? Dreaming, processing. We process information during sleep. And I'm like, this is really sad. There's more going on for this kid during sleep than there is in class. And why is that? Well, what we know is teenagers go into this state, and scientists call it low RAS, where the reticular activating system that takes in information, it downshifts. And it's when kids say they're chilled out, they're chilling, you know, Netflix and chill, you know, they're doing that. That it's true. There really is something happening in their brains where they're chilling, and and kind of nothing's happening. They're kind of zoned out. That zoned out look they get, that's what's happening in their brains. So when I saw this, I thought, clearly something's gonna have to change, because if this is the electrical activity of their brains during class, learning is not happening. And so I'm gonna have to look for, what can I find out about their brains that's gonna help me know what can I do to activate those brains to get that, to address those needs. And that really takes us into what we're gonna do today. That's gonna be our focus today. We're really gonna start, well, and kind of woven through our time together, we're going to look at the factors that impact the adolescent brain, the uniqueness of the adolescent brain. It is unique, and that's one of the things I really learned through my study, because, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, when I first started teaching middle school, I was just like, it's weird, they have weird brains. And then as I learned more about them, and about the way their brains work, it's not that they're weird, it's that they're different. And I want to capitalize on those differences and make the most of them. And so that's what we'll look at. How do these unique factors impact their learning? And so, and then we're going to try to look and attach some strategies to each of those things. If we know this about the brain, then let's do this and see if that can impact what's happening to the brain. So we're kind of gonna look at if the teen brain could talk, because I'm gonna be real with you guys, that's what I wanted. I wanted those brains to talk to me and say, what's going on in there? Tell me and I'll help you. So if the teen brain could talk, what would it say? This is based on what we know about the teen brain. The first thing it would say to us is, I have high plasticity. The brain is more plastic. It is going through more changing and growing and moving during the teen years than any other time in life. That includes 0 to 2, which is amazing to me. Think about how the brain is developing 0 to 2. It is going through even more changes and changing more during teen years even than then. That high plasticity, and when I think of plasticity, the plastic I think of is more like Play-Doh, that we can add to it and stretch it and change it and move it, because the brain is truly changing. So with that plasticity, that high rate of plasticity means that the adolescent years are prime time for learning. It is probably the most prime time for learning you're going to get with a group of students is during that adolescent years. And that meant a lot to me, because I would hear people say, gosh, it's like they have huge gaps coming in from elementary. There's not a lot we can do. That's not what the research shows. There's a ton we can do, because their brains are changing and moving and growing, and there's so much we can do. This is a time, part of that plasticity, this is a time where what's going on in the brain is what we call pruning and shedding. What's happening during this time is the neural connections that are no longer being used from early life start shedding. They start shedding that. And pruning and just using those connections that are important. It's kind of a use it or lose it time. Now, what's good about that pruning and shedding, it provides for a very specialized type of learning. What they begin to do, they're refining and specializing. Everything becomes more sophisticated in their learning. And what we know about that is because the pruning and the shedding's happening and new neural growth is happening, this is a time where the IQ can change. In fact, studies done showed that during adolescence, 1/3 of students in adolescence, their IQ stayed the same. 1/3 went down, and 1/3 went up. And the third that went up as much as 20 points. Wow. 20 points on their IQ during adolescence. It's huge. It is huge. But what affects that is, what are they doing during adolescence? What's happening in that brain during adolescence? What kind of neural connections and new neural growth is happening that's going to impact the IQ that much? It was huge information, and really made me as an educator go, whoa, I teach these kids, and I really can impact what's happening with their IQs at this point. Puts a lot of responsibility on me for what do I do with that. Dr. Frances Jenkins, who her work is amazing, and I'm gonna at the end show you her favorite book that I like to use. She's kind of a guru on the teen brain, and the way she describes the teen brain because of this level of plasticity, she says